are to 80 plus countries with 145 items like Armenia. It is Akash missile, Pinaka, Swati radar, ATAGS, howitzers. Then Philippines is BrahMos. Indonesia and Vietnam are likely to be BrahMos for $450 million and $620 million. And we are going to have a BrahMos shield in South China Sea and Natuna Sea, in that inverted U fashion when we look from Philippines, Indonesia, right up to Vietnam. Then we have Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launchers, naval ships, air defense systems, radars, including, we have been exporting our Akash surface-to-air guided weapon system. Actually, the most important thing is that the government has come out with a policy where we say, okay, 5,500 items will have to be produced in India. So when we are looking at that, and when we are looking at that, we are, still the second largest importer with the 8.2%. So there is a long way to go, but the market is huge. It is $788 billion, and we are just $4.1 billion. We do have limitations. We have limitations in propulsion technologies, but we have found ways. The ways is co-development. BrahMos is a co-developed missile with the help of Russia's NPOM, as well as you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to diversify it a little in the sense, and then come back to you, sir. Brigadier Raman, we are exporting missiles. Like, for example, American exports like cutting-edge technologies, jet engines, and they're diversified. What sort of things we must be doing to diversify our portfolio of export?
Karthikeya, firstly, thank you for having me on, and it's a great pleasure to be with Air Commodore Behal, who was my professor long time back in College of Air Warfare. As far as your question is coming, just before that, what I'd like to highlight is there are certain very distinct opportunities which have come up, which will, guide as to what kind of weapon systems we could import. For example, if you look at the US, they have excellent equipment, but very expensive and political strings attached. If you look at Western Europe equipment, again excellent, but, fragmented production, multiple countries. If you look at Russia, which is a traditional supplier, they are going through a war and most of their effort is directed towards their own military. And of course, you have China, which has captured much of the defense market, but there are question marks on quality as well as, integrity. Everybody is wary of Chinese components today. So that has created an excellent space for us to export our kind of weapon systems. Now, what I would suggest is, rather than going for the most high-end kind of weapon systems, which let's talk about, aircraft and things like that, which we are still under the, we still are developing ourselves. But there is huge space for systems like missiles, rocket artillery, air defense artillery, artillery and ammunition. And one thing I would like to highlight is, there is a very, very big growing market for drones. Our own drone industry has taken off in a very major manner, encouraged by, the procurements of our own military. And this has created both expertise as well as capabilities, which I think would be absolutely applicable for export to these markets which we have identified.
Okay. Dr. Bahal, will we be able to do those cutting edge things which the Americans and Russians are doing? I know they are making jet engines. They're trying to miniaturize nuclear propulsion, their technology in submarine making. In future, if we want to be defense exporters, where should we be working? Like Turkey revolutionized its defense exports through drones. What should be our pivot? Right now, we are exporting BrahMos and Astra. Where should we be pivoting?
Yeah, we should pivot in two places, like the Brigadier mentioned. One place is the drones, because 600 companies in India are working on drones and counter-drone systems. And counter-drone systems, we have really achieved, after Israel, a great amount of precision. If we are looking at, even D4 technologies being used in, integrated drone detection and interdiction systems, we have increased the ranges from 2 kilometers now to 3.5 to 5 kilometers with 30 kilowatt systems. And we are now with 145 companies in international markets. We are looking into great expansion. We are right now at that stage where we say propulsion will take place in our defense exports in terms of drones and counter drones, like the brigadier was mentioning. Now we come to the second and very important thing. The critical technologies, if you look at scramjet. Now, the scramjet, we have achieved 1,000 seconds, which is close to 20 odd minutes. And very few countries in the world, if you leave it, Russia, China, and US, are the countries that have expertise in this area. And when we have expertise in scramjet, we have expertise in hypersonic technologies. Though our own Agni missiles right now are mostly from Agni 1 right up to Agni 5, are hypersonic missiles, with Agni 5 being 24 Mach, and now including MIRVs. And we are also looking at satellite launch capability, which we have been able to become a world leader. If you remember, hundreds of satellites were launched in just one launch vehicle a few years back, and we did create a world record at that period of time. So we are also looking at propulsion technologies like single crystal blade technology, which is actually being our weak area, our Achilles heel. Now we are looking at improving that with co-development. That's why we are going with Safran, and we are having a $7 billion, JV with them, so that we produce AMCA's engine, which is going to be 120 kilonewtons to 140 kilonewtons, the engine that does not exist with the French Air Force as of this moment. So we are going to have that kind of a technology in the coming few years. And I'm very confident that we have succeeded wherever there has been co-development. Like the brigadier is mentioning, when we are looking at aircraft and singly developing it, then it's a difficult task. But suppose we join GLOCAP, that is the Global Combat Air Program, or Futuristic Combat Program of the sixth generations, with any of these countries. It could be UK, Japan, or Italy, or it could be the French, German, and Spain company combined, which Germany has walked out. So it's given us an opportunity. We could go there if we like France. So we must get networked with the sixth generation technologies, with this in co-development, so that when we look at our own AMCA coming in 2035, we have already caught up with the world in critical technologies. If you remember one incident I want to give to you, in 1998, when that nuclear explosion tests were carried out.
Okay.
That is the time we actually wanted fly-by-wire systems and cryogenic engines, and it were denied to us. But it helped us develop our own 4-channel fly-by-wire, which is one of the best fly-by-wire systems which is fitted in the light combat aircraft. So and also we are doing exceptionally well, just last line, exceptionally well in Virupaksha, that is the advanced electronically steered array radar, which has 2,400 to 2,500 transmit receive modules. I mean, we are in advanced critical. We are at that point, inflection point. Another 7 years, we'll be at that place.
Brigadier Raman, do you think we are doing enough in terms of military-civil partnership to produce that sort of technology, tech power, manpower, hard power, that synergy which we witness in China, United States of America, civil-military partnership?
I think that, when you speak about the Americans and the Chinese, they inherently have different models in which the United States went around completely the capitalist path, in which, it was the industry which took on based on contracts. And the Chinese did a state-sponsored or state integrated form of development till they reached a particular stage when their companies took on. As far as we are concerned, I think that since 2014, this government has quite effectively orchestrated the partnership between the DRDO and the private companies in order to encourage private companies to, get into the field. You must remember that these other Western countries whom we are speaking about have decades of experience in conceiving, designing, and producing these weapons, whereas our companies are just starting off. So the government has come up with a very interesting and very helpful hand-holding schemes, which sort of help or promise the industry that there is going to be a support till a particular stage. And I think it's interesting that this export market, will sort of feed and encourage this whole partnership.
I think for me, I think the biggest thing would be, I had been saying to Dr. Bahal, if we crack some key tech areas like jet engines or the miniaturization part, but then again, I've run short of time. Next time we'll be again doing this decoding business. You know, we do this, Mr. Raman, very often with Dr. Bahal, where one issue is taken up and he breaks it down into multiple parts. So if people who even don't understand the A and B of military, they know what the real issue is. So thank you, both of you, for joining me. And to my viewers, this is all I had on Point tonight. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you and good night.
Meet the tomorrow today. ICFI is the bridge between tomorrow and today. Bridge between aspirations and accomplishment. Bridge between I wish to I can. I will remove the gap. Welcome to the I am ICFI. Belief called I can fly above imagination.